Okay, so I wanted to make a video just to sort of get you off on the right foot as you prepare to do your position paper. This is based on a lot of the common problems that I see as I work through students' papers. First thing you want to do is go to the library.sbts.edu website, and right here at the main website is a templates tab. So you go ahead and click that. That'll open a new tab. You can go ahead and download the Seminary Manual of Style and then scroll down and download the research paper template from for Microsoft Word. As students, you are able to access Microsoft Word for free, and so I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember right now where on the website you can find that. It's on the SBTS website, but maybe you could do a Google search for SBTS and Microsoft Office or something. It's the campus technology website. They have the instructions for how to log into Microsoft Word. You could also come here for your book review templates. So you click research paper template and go ahead and either view and open or click over here. Either way, it'll start to download the Word document. Also on the library website, open up databases, click right here, databases, and then scroll down to Chicago Manual of Style. Once you open that up, you'll have to log in, but it'll take you to this page. And once you're on this page, come over here to Notes and Bibliography. That's the style that we use at Southern. So chapter 14 in the Chicago Manual of Style. And once you open that up, it shows you how to cite all sorts of different materials you might use in your paper. You can look at books and journal articles and videos and social media posts and all of that. It tells you how to cite all of those things. Another thing you're going to want to do is come to the Turabian. This is sort of a cheat sheet. Turabian. So Chicago Manual of Style.org/Turabian/citation-guide .html. Again, we use the notes and bibliography style, so don't use the author date style. You can click that. You don't have to log in to get into this page, but this will show you, like I said, it's sort of a cheat sheet. So it'll show you all sorts of ways to cite very common types of sources that you might use. You'll notice that in all of them, it's author, and then the title, and then in the footnotes, so notes is your footnotes, you'll have parentheses around the publication place and the publisher and the date. And then for shortened notes, which we'll go over when we look at the paper, for shortened notes, you're going to go ahead and include the title between the author and the page range or the page number. You do not list only the author and the pages. You also include at least a shortened form of the title. So you'll see right up here, Fast Food Nation, The Dark Side of the American Meal, and down here, the shortened version is just Fast Food Nation. For your bibliography, it'll also show you how to do bibliography citation. So this is a helpful page to look at, chicagomanualofstyle.org/Turabian/citation-guide. Okay. When you download your Word document, you'll end up with a template. In the template, you'll be able to, it'll have a whole lot of comments. You open up review, and under comments, you'll have delete, and there's a little arrow there. You click the little arrow and you click on delete all comments. You get rid of all those comments that are there. They are helpful, but before you turn in your paper, make sure to remove all the comments. As you go through, your title page, come up with a good title, come up with or type in position paper, your professor's name. All of them will be like this, where it's kind of gray. Type in the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, your course number. Down here, put your email address, your student email address, and then date of submission. Now you'll notice with all of them, you can just click and it highlights all of it. With date of submission, you end up with this little bit hanging on there. And if you scroll down, you see how it comes down like that. You don't want to get all of the rest of it. So just highlight. Let's see if I can get it. Just highlight date of submission and make sure you don't get that last bit. And you can just put in the due date, not the actual day that you're turning it in, because you might be turning it in 5 days early or something. Just put in the due date there and you'll be all right. But make sure you do it. You don't get that little tail, because if you do, it'll move the date way down here or somewhere else. Your title on the first page of text should be the same as the title on your cover page. And then you have your introduction. We'll go through some of the footnotes. So when you cite scripture, make sure to use an abbreviated book title or book name from the Bible. No period. Notice there's no period there. And then the book address or the verse address. And then for your first citation, include the translation that you're using. You don't have to use, as long as you use the same translation throughout your paper, you don't have to keep putting the translation there. Notice the period or whatever punctuation is coming after all of that. And then you start your next sentence. Whenever you do ellipses, do not just put period, period, period. Make sure you do period, space, period, space, period, space. That's a Southern Seminary standard, so go ahead and do that. For your footnotes, so I've done 2 common footnotes that you'll be using. 2 common footnotes. You've got Wayne Grudem, systematic theology. Notice it's first name, last name, not last name, comma, first name in footnotes, and then the title, and then there's no comma. And again, the publishing information is in the parentheses, and you have a page number. There are books that you'll be using, the 5 views books or the multiple views books, or maybe you have a book that has a series of essays by different authors. Include the author of the article, the chapter that you're citing, and then include the chapter in quotes, not italics, and then the word in, and then the title of the book in italics. With a comma, and then edited by, or edited, and then you put the author or the editors. Followed then by the publisher. And a comma. Okay, notice Grand Rapids is not New York City, and so you make sure to use the abbreviated state as well, the 2-letter abbreviation for the state. Do not put MICH period or leave it without the abbreviated state, unless it's New York City or London or Oxford or Boston, these cities that are known the world over. Make sure if it's one of those, you can just put the city. If it's not one of those, if it's Grand Rapids or if it's Wheaton or Downers Grove, go ahead and make sure to include the state. Notice also on this first page, this is your first page. This is a cover page. It is not your first page. And so you should have page 1 here. Page 1 will often change itself to page 2. And so you need to go into your settings and make sure to adjust that to be page 1. Also, notice that there is no space here where the between the note and the note number. It will always place a space there, and you always need to go back in and delete the space. So every time you put insert footnote, it'll have a space there, and you just get in the habit of hitting delete before you even start typing out your footnote. If you use a citation manager, it will also include the space, and so you have to go back through and delete all those spaces. Over here, I've got a theological position paper template that I've devised. This is what I'm looking for when I look at papers. I want to see an argument. I will argue that baptism is of believers alone, and then you should have supporting points. Why is it of believers alone? Because the command in Matthew 28, the testimony of Acts, and the ecclesiology of the New Covenant. So one of these is an exegetical argument. Another is a biblical theological argument. One of them is a systematic theology argument. Another is a biblical theological argument. And another is an exegetical argument. Those are my supporting points for defending my argument. My methodology statement will be immediately after my thesis. So I will argue that baptism, so forth. This will be demonstrated by, first, explaining opposing views from Presbyterians and Lutherans. Second, constructing a biblical and theological defense of the thesis. And third, responding to objections to my doctrine. Your thesis and your methodology statement should be at the very beginning, the very first sentences of your paper, or it should be at the very end of your introduction. I shouldn't be looking through your introduction to try to find your thesis. It should be very clearly at the very beginning or at the end of your introduction. Then you're going to, in the first part of your paper, you're going to provide positions on the issue. Give some actual adherence. Don't construct it out of your own mind. Construct it out of somebody else's own argument. The actual people that hold to infant baptism who are Presbyterians. Don't say, I know that Presbyterians believe X, Y, and Z. Actually show that they believe X, Y, and Z by citing Calvin or Ferguson or Horton or somebody like that. And then show that Lutherans believe what you're saying they believe. So you'll be citing them all throughout. Then in the second part of your paper, you're going to build your own position. And you're going to show from the Bible and you're going to show through theological reasoning that your position is what the Bible teaches. Then you will respond to objections. And so positions on the issue should be your first subheading with maybe a little blurb about what the positions are on the issue, what kind of terminology we need to be looking out for, and then work through the Presbyterian position, then the Lutheran position. Then for the second part of your paper, build your own position and show from each of the subpoints that this position is valid. Finally, you'll have another first level subheading and you'll provide the objections. Presbyterians would argue that and then provide an actual argument from a Presbyterian against your position and show that your position still stands. So positions would argue, that believers and their children, or Presbyterians would argue, but you're saying that no believers are part of a church. However, so now I'm responding. However, they have failed to recognize that I do believe unbelievers are members of the church. But this is by lying to the congregation, not by de facto inclusion. And so I'm arguing against their objection. And then same thing with Lutherans. And finally, conclude your paper. You want your paper, as a good rule of thumb, to have around 4 footnotes per page. It doesn't have to, but that's a good way to know, am I accurately representing and supporting my case? I hope this is helpful. I look forward to hearing any questions you might still have. I hope this will help you to have sort of 2 rail tracks on which to build your own arguments. And I hope this will help you to become even clearer at articulating the truth that's contained in Scripture.